Okay, so in order to store data on a disk, we have to format the disk. Whether we're in Windows 9X or in DOS, we can format a disk. In Windows 9X, we would probably use a graphical user interface, which we'll talk about later on. In DOS, we would use the format command, which we will also discuss later in this section. But formatting creates the tracks and sectors by writing tracks and writing the sector address mark to identify the beginning sector on a track. In other words, formatting places an address on each one of those concentric circles that we just looked at. Formatting also creates the master boot record. The master boot record tells the disk how to start and what operating system is operating that format. It also creates two copies of the file allocation table, the FAT. We'll look closely at what the file allocation table is. Without a file allocation table, we would not be able to find our files. And it also creates a root directory. A root directory is the beginning of where to find the files. It starts the hierarchy of files that are going to be on the disk. So formatting prepares the disk for use. The format command is a DOS command. A Windows 9X command is usually we would use a graphical user interface. But whether we do either one, the first step is that all data that's on the disk will be erased. So format is not a command to use lightly. When we use a format command, we'll get a warning that all data will be erased on the disk, and would we like to continue? Make sure if you're formatting a disk that you already have data on, that you either don't need that data anymore or that you have a backup of that data somewhere else. The master boot record is a record written during the beginning of the floppy disk, or written at the beginning of the floppy disk. It contains the information about the disk as well as the startup operating system programs. So it contains the bytes per sector, the sectors per cluster, number of file allocation tables, the size of the file allocation table, sectors per track, information about the disk that will be used by the operating system to pull the information off of the disk. The file allocation table is a table on the disk that tracks clusters that are used to contain a file. So a file allocation table is a list that says, oh, okay, if you need that data, here's where it is on the disk. So it's a list that then points to where that data is contained on the disk. We could also call it a pointer file. Next, we'll take a look at how we manage data beginning with the root directory.